Good morning, everyone. So, guys, listen, buckle up because 2025 is panning out to be the wildest year in human existence. Strange, actually. Some mainstream media outlets are now saying using my word wild. Again, listen, guys, I don't have any patents on the word wild, but alas, let's continue. So, I'm going to talk about some of the things I've previously said. It's going to take me like 30 seconds. And then I'm going to back them up then with things that are happening today, right now, within the last 24 hours. And I'm going to show you guys why all this conflict's happening. I'm going to show you why the United States will invade Iran around about March 2026. Now, with the rhetoric that Donald Trump's throwing out there, logistically, I can't see this happening before March 2026, which would mean it would have to happen March 2025, which would mean there needs to be an invasion. Like, they need to start moving logistics right now, which I just can't see happening. But remember, like a year ago, and please, guys, listen, go through my videos. I've made all my videos are public. I've gone on public record before anybody was even talking about this sort of stuff. I've said, look, you're going to see a divergence between the United States and the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom will focus on Ukraine, focus on the Russian threat in the east of Europe. But this video, I want to talk about what's happening in America. I said the United States will have a conflict, have a war, whatever you guys want to call it, a liberation spree in the Middle East. Well, turns out it looks like I was right. So I went against all mainstream media and all most independent media when I was saying this, because everybody was coming out saying, oh, Donald Trump, he's going to have a peace deal. There's going to be peace all over the world as soon as Donald Trump gets in. And I was quite clear on public record. I said, that'd be great, but just listen in, but listen, right, I'm going to share with you guys a short video if I can find it, and then I'm going to talk about what this means globally, why Trump wants to take control of the United Kingdom, why Trump wants to take control of Greenland, Canada, and the Panama Canal. Right, where do we go? Is it this one? Yeah, this one. So just remember, guys, okay, when I said that Trump will have I need to put the volume on, a war in the Middle East, just listen to his rhetoric now.
If those hostages aren't back, I don't want to hurt your negotiation.
Sorry, so for those of you who don't know, he's talking about the hostages that have been taken by Hamas.
If they're not back by the time I get into office, all hell will break out in the Middle East.
So listen to what he said there. Listen to the words he said. It will all break out in the Middle East. So he's not talking about Gaza now. He's not talking about that very tiny slither of land. He's talking about the Middle East in general. Now, if you've been following this channel, I've given you the reasons why this has to happen. I've given you the bigger picture, but let's just continue on the video and then we'll talk about it a little bit more.
And it will not be good for Hamas, and it will not be good, frankly, for anyone. All hell will break out. I don't have to say anymore, but that's what it is. And they should have given them back a long time. They should have never taken them. There should have never been the attack of October 7th. People forget that. But there was, and many people are killed. They're no longer hostages. I have people from Israel and others calling, begging me to get, we had also people there from the United States, just so you know. They're holding some so-called hostages from the U.S. But I've had mothers come to me and fathers crying, can I get the body of their son back? Can I get the body of their daughter back?
So this is, I do apologize if it's a bit gruesome for people to listen to, but the reason this is going to break out is because Hamas cannot give the hostages back, because the hostages have already transcended I believe the hostages will have already transcended to beams of light. And what's left of those hostages will be unrecognizable. It will have just vanished. So what Donald Trump is asking for cannot be given.
Beautiful girl where they threw her in the car, pulled her by her ponytail and threw her in the car like she was a sack of potatoes. I said, what happened to her? Sir, she's dead. Like a 19, 20-year-old beautiful girl. And the way they treated her. And I just say it this very simply. Steve's got a job to do. He's a great guy, great negotiator, great person.
On a personal level, I'm not disagreeing with anything Donald Trump says. All right, I think what happened is disgusting. And that should have never happened. And you like the way things have happened in the world right now, it is absolute carnage. But remember, I called this over a year ago. I said before any of these events happened, I said, look, this is what's going to happen. Now it's happening.
They respect him over there already. It's what we needed over there. We have people that know everything about the Middle East, but they can't speak properly. They don't know.
What he's talking about there is, these politicians and these negotiators, like, David Lammy, who's a perfect example, the people who've got, who read all the books but have no experience. And this is kind of the problem with career politicians. It's certainly the problem that we have in the United Kingdom at the moment.
He's a great negotiator. That's what I needed. I could have sent that gentleman right over there, Hussein. He's a great negotiator. There are people, they're rare. Great negotiators are very rare. Like a great.
Sorry, just to interject again. Like, look at the guy to Donald Trump's left. You're right as you're looking at it. That's kind of the face you give when you're answering a question on a lecture and like your boss comes up and starts answering it. You're just like, oh, right. Well, how do I go about this? What do I look at?
It's surgeon, but we have the right person. But I tell this, I don't want to hurt the negotiation. If the deal isn't done before I take office, which is now going to be 2 weeks, all hell will break out.
So you've literally heard it there from Big DT's mouth. All hell will break loose in 2 weeks. There is your time frame, guys. That's your time frame. All hell's going to break loose in 2 weeks. What that means, we can only speculate right now. But remember, the United States air power is phenomenal. I would say this will start with a series of airstrikes. The airstrike. Sorry, let me finish the video. Actually,
in the Middle East.
Yes.
All hell will break out. If those.
Sorry, guys. I was interjecting too quick. So you've heard it there, then, guys. Donald Trump is saying that all hell will break out in 2 weeks. That is your, that's your temporal marker. If these hostages do get released, and I can't see how they can, because like I said, I think these guys have already transcended to beams of light. I don't think they're with us anymore. And I think what's left of them is in several places, if you guys know what I'm talking about. So all hell will break loose then in 2 weeks. How is this going to start? The only way it can realistically start is with a series of airstrikes. This would be, worst case or best case scenario, depending on which side of the spectrum you're looking at, would be, all out naval air force power at the disposal of the United States to be sent to that Middle Eastern region. Now, if they start bombing Iran, it's not going to have that much effect, because anything of any value, anything of any strategic value will be deep underground. It'll be in deep underground military bases. We've seen this from the Israelis, from the Israeli footage when they went into Syria and found the Iranian-backed missile factory that was deep underground. Now, why Iran, Sean? Why are we talking about Iran? Well, I'm just going to show you this, and I know I've done this before, so I'm just going to do it real quick, and I'll put all these links in the description. Where are we? So here it is, guys. This is from the US government website. House Resolution 559, 18th Congress, 2023-2024. Passed House on the 1st of November 2023. This resolution, I'll put this link in the description because I keep going on to it, guys, okay? This resolution declares that it is the policy of the United States, 1, to use all means necessary to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon, and 2, support the freedom of action of partners and allies to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon. So what I think they're talking about there is anyone in that region who would support that action, the United States would support them. Obviously, there's one player in that region who that would, equate to. I'll put those links in the description. So this has already been passed in US law that they cannot let the Iranians get a nuclear weapon. So what's going to happen? There's going to be I believe there'll be a mass mass series of airstrikes into that region. Of course, some of these are going to hit Iran. Of course, some of these are going to hit other regions in that area. So I'd say Syria, Iran, Yemen are all going to come under aerial bombardment very soon. Like I said, a lot of these deep underground military bases are underneath mountains, very difficult to get to. So that's why you're going to have boots on the ground. So I would say the escalation is going to start in 2 weeks. And listen, it's not even from me, it's from Donald Trump. All hell's going to break loose in 2 weeks. So, right, then we've got, this rhetoric now that Donald Trump wants to take control of Greenland, Canada, Panama Canal, and it's looking more likely that the United States will take control of the United Kingdom. Remember, I called this the United Kingdom months and months and months ago. I said, listen, you know what? I said, when all this is over, I think the United Kingdom are going to become part of the United States. I'm not sure on the mechanisms, how that's going to work or the direction that's going to flow, but I do see that happening. What I think is happening right now in the United Kingdom, and I mean right now as we speak, the United Kingdom have been denied an inquest into the gangs that were roaming the streets for 25 years, doing things to young girls in our country. People in the United Kingdom have been denied that right. And this has left a bad taste in everybody's mouth. So what I think will be happening right now behind, not behind closed doors, but in small groups, people will be conducting, what's the word I'm looking for? Open source research. They will be doing that. People will be doing their own research and their own inquiries. It's not hard. I grew up in Rotherham in the 90s. I know exactly what happened. I can go and find people who were affected directly by this. I can go and find people who were called racist for pointing out things were happening in houses across the road. And then lo and behold, a couple of years later, all those people have been arrested and said, so this thing was happening, these things were happening. Now, the fact that there's no inquiry just means that independent media are going to have to do this inquiry themselves. They will do this inquiry, and over the next couple of months, you're going to see the first of these, these inquiries, the first of this, these exposés released by independent media. Then all the information will be out. Then bigger channels, bigger media outlets will start to connect the dots. They will start to unravel the depth of depravity that the United Kingdom has been under for the last 25 years. It feels like Theoden the Horsemaster when he's under the spell. That's what it kind of feels like in the United Kingdom. You're being told you're not under a spell, but you kind of know that something's wrong. Anyway, so that's what's going to happen. That's what's happening now in the United Kingdom, I believe. And I think once all these documentaries are released round about the summertime, in the UK, you're just going to see flames on the street again. I think the protests this time are going to make the last summer look like children in a playground. So at that point, I think anybody, and then again, this comes down to ideological subversion. I could go into that, so it will kind of take the UK into the crisis phase of ideological subversion. And then we'll be looking for the normalization phase when we see a strong leader emerge. And then everybody just agrees with that strong leader because they will give a solution to the problems. Alas. Why does Donald Trump want Greenland? Well, Donald Trump wants Greenland. So Donald Trump's come out giving the rhetoric saying he wants to buy, he wants to buy Greenland. He wants Greenland to be part of the United States along with Canada and the Suez Canal. So from an article here, guys, I'll share in the description. Greenland suspends oil exploration because of climate change. Where do we go? Where's the numbers? So they've put the U.S. Geological Survey estimates that there could be 17 billion undiscovered barrels of oil and 148 trillion cubic feet of natural gas off Greenland. Now, that would be a large thumbs up for the United States to take control of Greenland, because then they would take control of those natural resources. Now, Greenland don't want to do any oil hydrocarbon oil exploration, which would obviously gas would come into in that bracket as well, because they're saying climate change and the future lies with renewables. I personally, I'm not convinced that that sentence is true. I don't think any amount of taxing, any amount of green, green taxes or solar or wind is going to bring down the temperature of the sun. That's my opinion, my speculation. All right, kind of backed up with science. If you guys know what the Milankovitch cycles are, but the just from this article here, guys. Okay, the Greenland are potentially sitting on large 1.7 billion undiscovered barrels of oil and 448 trillion cubic feet of natural gas that could be off the coast of Greenland. So again, that would be an incentive for the United States to take control potentially of Greenland. So why do we think that why do we think that the Americans want to take control of Great Britain? Well, I'm going to hang on. Why do we think, obviously, there's a political reasons, but Russia reportedly finds vast oil and gas reserves in British Antarctic territory. I'll put this link in the description, guys. Okay. But in a nutshell, Britain have more than, allegedly, obviously I've not seen the report, but Britain have almost twice as, from that article, Britain have almost twice as much oil in British Antarctic territory than the Saudi Arabians have. So again, that is a huge energy, that's a huge energy output. That's a huge energy, reserve. Now, a recent study came out and said that the initial estimate was wrong. There's actually a lot more than that. The reality is we don't know until we start going down there and drilling and digging and taking that oil. But it kind of, if the United States take control of Canada, Greenland, the Panama Canal, Britain, it would give the United States so much power. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying that that's the way we are going. Also, when we talk about why would America want to take control of the United Kingdom? Because whoever controls the United Kingdom, believe it or not, controls Antarctica. Whoa, but Sean, Antarctica is a continent, and there's the Antarctic Treaty that will stop people doing any oil exploration until 2049, I believe. Well, that is true, but also this is true. So this is British Antarctic territory here. So you can see this this peninsula here, this Antarctic peninsula. Realistically, this is the only place you can land. You can bring logistics in. You can bring ships in. Yes, of course you can. You can bring ships in anywhere, but you've got to think about the ease of getting ships in. It's a lot easier to come in on this peninsula and bring your ships. You can bring your ships into dock at this peninsula. You can beach them. It's just a lot easier. Most of the way around Antarctica, it's it's high sheet ice. It's very difficult to get into. But this little peninsula here is controlled by Britain. This is British Antarctic territory. So whoever controls this peninsula controls the access and egress to the whole of Antarctica. So whoever controls the entry controls the whole continent. Yes, okay. Somebody else may have a bigger chunk of Antarctica, but if they can't get in or out, what's the point in having it? If they have to come through British territory to get there and pay British taxes, use British ships, use British tariffs if they use British docks, then guess what? Kind of doesn't matter. So this is that's the region we're all talking about now. Britain lays stake to Antarctica because Britain control the Falkland Islands. Now, this is, again, going slightly off topic because I want to focus this on Trump and why we're heading towards a global conflict of an industrial scale. Trump understands this, and this is why the Falkland Islands are so key, and this is why I believe the Argentinians, backed by Russia, will have another crack at the Falklands, guys. Okay, it makes financial sense for them to do that. So anyway, guys, I'm gonna leave it there because I want to keep this video relatively short. I've got drag logs up from the bottom of the garden. Jokes of the video is all hell is about to break loose in 2 weeks. The streets on the United Kingdom this summer, there's going to be flames on the streets in the UK this summer when these independent media reports have been released. And again, listen, guys, when I'm spotting these things months and months and months ago, and I'm putting them out there on open source, just look at the track record. Look at the things I've said like years ago when nobody was talking about this, and especially this platform and the other ones we run. These things are happening, and we can see them now. I spot the sprouts in the weeds, and I think, right, okay, why is that happening? Why is this happening? And right now, guys, okay, we are in for an absolutely insane 2025. I mean, Donald Trump's not even been inaugurated yet. Remember that phrase he said, guys, okay? There'll be hell to pay in 2 weeks, all right? So whatever you guys need to do, you have literally got 2 weeks to do it. Anyway, guys, I'm going to mag to grid. I'll get you guys another video later.